This is my persuasive speech practice. So obviously it's not 100% there, but yeah, I'm working on it. So we're all college students. Like most college students, we don't have a lot of money. I'm going to show you that we'll show you ways in which you can safely spend your money, and how to save it as well in a smart way. I'm going to focus on where priorities are, and then on credit cards. Okay, so a credit card, in case you somehow don't know, is just a card, and you can use it just really quickly, really easily. You just swipe it at a store, whatever, and it'll charge the credit card, but it doesn't charge you right then. You can pay it off. You can pay it off over time, and that's really convenient and really easy. But the problem is that what you end up doing is you just swipe it, and then you just you're tempted. You don't even see the charge right there. Right then, you don't see it for a while. So you just end up starting using that for everything and for expensive things, and you just kind of forget about it. And then it'll pile up, and then all of a sudden you'll have a ton of money that you owe, and you can't support that. And so I'm going to explain that you really should use credit cards, or if you do, use them wisely and sparingly. It's okay, but just use them in a smart way. Debit cards, on the other hand, I think are just fantastic. They're linked to your bank account, so you can only spend as much as you have. And there's still a temptation, but it's a lot smarter than credit cards where you're spending money you don't have. The church put out a pamphlet online a couple years ago, or last year in October, titled How to Be Money Smart. It talks about making a budget. It suggests that we create a list of things we'll purchase throughout the month and how much they'll probably cost. It tells us to separate our needs from our wants and to prioritize our needs. It tells us that after paying tithing and our immediate needs, to put most of the rest of the money left into savings. We can use some of it to spend on whatever we want, but most of it should go into savings. It doesn't tell us to spend all of the rest, or if we run out already, to spend money we don't have by putting on credit cards. It concludes with, remember that making your budget work takes solid planning, a strong commitment, and self-discipline. It's tough, but it's worth it. And they're right. It takes a lot of self-discipline to not go and buy everything in the world with just a little swipe of your credit card. It's tough, but it's worth it because you're not getting into debt, and you're saving money at the same time. With credit cards, you just get into debt, and then their interest rates, they charge you, and then over time it just builds, and you end up paying a lot more than you normally would have if you just bought it straight up. Or not bought it, obviously. My parents are a great example to me. They don't believe in going into debt. That sounds kind of funky, but I'll explain it to you. They try to pay as much of something right then as they can. Obviously that's not possible with everything, paying off your house or your car right then. But they try to save and pay as much as they can right then, because you have to wait a little bit longer to get something, but in the end you pay less for it because there's less time for interest to be charged, and you don't go into debt as much. So that's a strategy that I look up to and will try to emulate, and I suggest you do as well. And then in September of 2007, the church published an article in Enzyme called One for the Money. It gives 3 points that are really relevant to my speech. The first is learn to manage money before it manages you. That means just have the attitude that you need to prioritize your money problems instead of putting them off and letting them take control of you. The second point is learn self-discipline and self-restraint in money matters. So think of your spouse and your family ahead of you in your spending impulses, and you're more likely to spend wisely. In other words, don't just impulse buy. Think about it first. And the last and most relevant one is use a budget. The article says, quote, be careful with your use of credit cards. They are principally for convenience and should not be used carelessly or recklessly. And they're right. We need to save and not spend recklessly. It's so easy to just swipe and that's it. It's so easy to buy something way more expensive than you want normally, or that you budgeted for in your credit card, and you just choose not to think about it. But that's a trap that we don't want to fall into. Not only will managing your money smarter help keep you more out of debt and save you money, but it could save your marriage. The American Bar Association said that 89% of all divorces could be traced to quarrels and accusations over money. If you have money problems, it's going to bring some amount of stress to your home, especially if you and your spouse don't talk about how to deal with these problems. I sent out a survey on Facebook, and I got 57 responses. They pleased me, but some scared me. Here's what I learned. Most of the people who responded were freshmen. That's not surprising because I'm a freshman. When asked about what their biggest expense was after tuition, housing, and books, most said food for cooking. That's expected. But a close second after that was eating out. We all know that eating out is expensive. It's often that a meal at a restaurant is as expensive as 3, 4, or 5 other meals that we could have made at home, like sandwiches or even like bigger meals. It's not wrong to eat out, but if that's one of your biggest expenses, then you should probably cut down on it. 42 of them said they pay everyday expenses with a debit card. That's fantastic. That's amazing. However, 19 said that their parents are the ones paying for college, while 30 of those responses said that they are partially funded by scholarships, and some of them overlapped. And I know that most of the people who answered were freshmen and were not expected to be completely able to pay for college by ourselves, but we should definitely have a part in it, like pay for something. However, when asked to rate their amount of involvement on paying for college on a scale of 1 to 10, 16 of them put a 1, and 3 put a 0. That's not good. We gotta start learning some responsibility and being able to pay for some college ourselves. So where is this all leading to? How can we, college students, we don't have a lot of money like by default. However, we do have some, and these are ways that you can spend less and spend more safely. Don't use credit cards, or if you have to, just every once in a while, and just for something that you already planned. Don't impulse buy. Cause it's so easy to just impulse buy on credit cards and then forget about it. You use a debit card as much as you can, because then you can't spend like everything, and it's still a temptation, but it's worth it. Listen to what the church says on money. Like, this is important stuff. I'm going way over my time. Thinking this is just a practice. Try to manage your money before it manages you. Like, seriously, that's it. It'll help you be happier. It'll help you improve your marriage, or you're married right now, or whatever. And just be more responsible. Be more responsible. Don't use credit cards as much. Use debit cards more.